So let me talk about types of anxieties. I have a medical background for you that don't know me, so I have quite a bit of experience in psychology and psychiatry. So most of the time, guys that I deal with don't have full-blown anxiety disorders. They don't have agoraphobia. They don't have panic attacks in field. They have lesser forms of it. They are uncomfortable at first, and then that discomfort can rise to the level of fear or anxiety. It may not if they pacify themselves, or they more likely just avoid the situation altogether. It may not rise to the level of true anxiety. But there's a few different kinds of anxieties that we come across in the community. There's social anxiety, which is just being uncomfortable or fearful about being around other people. And at its worst, like I said, you can have agoraphobia, where you just have panic attacks out in public, and because of the shame involved in that, you just stay inside your house, which is pretty uncommon. You can have approach anxiety, which a lot of guys know about. You can have approach anxiety independent of other kinds of social anxiety. So, for example, all the girlfriends I had before the community was through, social circle, at work. They would hit on me, things like that. I never had to really approach them in a cold approach sense. So I didn't really have a manifestation of anxiety, but if you took that same girl and you put her on a park bench and I didn't know her, I couldn't approach her. So there was a very specific niche of anxiety that I had. I couldn't walk up to that girl and say hi, but if she was introduced to me, I had no form of anxiety. So you don't necessarily need to have social anxieties to have approach anxiety, but it is one variation of it. Third, there's trigger anxiety, which a lot of guys don't talk about in the community, but it's very real as much as approach anxiety, and that's the fear of pulling the trigger. So a lot of guys are uncomfortable just touching in a sensual or seductive way in any case. They can maybe do the back of the hand on the shoulder, that sort of thing. But when it comes to actually just being more physically aggressive, they have a fear of this. And especially when it comes to going for the makeout, a lot of guys just don't want to do it. A lot of this has to do with this ego validation you get from having the attraction with a girl and getting those nice warm fuzzies, and you really don't want to push it so far that you ruin all that and your ego is devastated. So you don't push it, and then the set fizzles out. She thinks there's something wrong with her, or there's something wrong with you. So trigger anxiety is a huge problem for a lot of guys. And lastly, there's sexual anxiety, which is where you're not really present with the girl in bed, you're not enjoying the experience, you're in your head, you're thinking about your performance, your body, that sort of thing.